Have you been thinking about buying a home in this market and not quite sure what to do? Are you looking at homes and kind of thinking that you might want to buy something, but you have a lot of questions and you just want to make sure that you're not doing something wrong or you want to avoid some mistakes? Well, folks, I'm a real estate agent and I help a lot of people through the process of buying a home. And I was a first time home buyer myself. I had the good fortune of having a really good real estate agent that walked me through the process and actually taught me a lot of things about how to buy a home properly. And having learned from other real estate agents along the way in the course of my career, I can tell you there's a lot of things that happen during a real estate transaction, and you want to make sure that you're in the right position. So today I want to share with you 5 things to avoid when buying a home that could save you or actually could cost you thousands of dollars. And I want to make sure that you don't make some of those mistakes. So right now, let's just jump right in and I'll kind of give you a little rundown of the things, a couple things that you can avoid. So the first thing to avoid when you're shopping for a home is be careful about just calling on the sign that's sitting in the yard when you're driving home and you see a for sale sign. You want to be cautious that that person that's representing that sale, that listing, that agent who's got the name on that sign, that person is actually representing the seller. So in the real estate business, the listing, the home that's for sale, is being represented by that agent that has a sign on the property or that's advertised in the MLS. So you want to make sure that somebody is looking out for your best interests. That listing agent is actually looking out for the interest of the seller. So if you go to that house and you don't have an agent with you, that agent needs to disclose to you. There's disclosures that they're required to share with you about representation. You want to make sure that you are represented. And it's just like you hear, in a court of law, it's a fool that represents himself. So you want to be careful about representing yourself in a real estate transaction. So if you go in and you're talking to that real estate agent, you may end up accidentally saying something to them that hurts your negotiating position if that home ends up being something that you really like. So be careful about actually just calling on that listing sign and calling and going to that open house. You can go to the open house, but make sure that you're careful about what you say to that listing agent. Make sure that you have an agent that represents you in your transactions. Next thing, be careful assuming that a foreclosure or a short sale actually means that it's a good deal. Banks are really horrible at selling houses. So when a bank takes back a house, typically what happens is the valuation on that house will automatically drop by a certain percentage. Depends on the market. But sometimes that foreclosure will be sitting for a long, long, long time before it actually goes back on the market. Sometimes the bank will actually make some repairs to it, but a lot of times they're putting it back on the market as is, and they're not interested in making any repairs. They're not going to do anything with that home once it comes back on the market. So not every foreclosure is a good deal. A lot of times the valuation or the value or the price that they're asking is actually greater than it probably ends up being worth because of the amount of repairs that are needed on that home. Short sale, typically a house is being sold as a short sale because it's a homeowner that may have paid more for the house than it was worth, and the amount of equity that they have is actually not even the same as their loan balance is actually greater than the valuation on the home, so they have negative equity. So a short sale does not necessarily mean that it's a good deal either. The bank is trying to actually work a deal so that they don't end up having to foreclose. So and it's never a good deal for a bank when they foreclose because they automatically lose a lot of money. But that doesn't necessarily mean it is a good deal. I've got another one here that says assuming that a for sale by owner is a good deal. So for sale by owner, typically somebody is selling a house for sale by owner because they want to save on the commission or they think they can do it themselves better for whatever reason. And typically what that means is they're actually going through all this effort, but they're not really exposing themselves to the market that much, but you don't know where they've gotten their valuation, and they may not actually have a proper valuation on their home. So if you're going to that for sale by owner, they may be looking at you and saying, oh, okay, well, you're not working with a real estate agent. I'm saving myself commission. I can charge you more money because I actually know what I think my house is worth. Everybody thinks their house is worth potentially more than it actually is. So you want to be careful about assuming that a for sale by owner is actually going to give you a good deal because they are actually looking out just for themselves. So relying on everyone else's opinion is actually another one too. So this is kind of interesting. I've had some buyers that I've worked with over time, and it's always good to have other people there to kind of lean on. So you want to kind of have a sounding board for some folks, but you want to know why you're buying this home. So it's good to have other people's ideas because it kind of can maybe expand your mind a little bit. But you need to be able to make your own decision for yourself. This home's got to work for you. It's going to be where you're going to live. It's going to be where your dreams are going to be living out. Now, obviously, if you have a spouse and it's yourself and your spouse, then yes, you want to make sure that you're together on that decision. That's really important. But sometimes I have buyers that are coming and they're really relying on mom and dad who have bought a house before, but they're so uncertain that they're relying so much on mom and dad mom and dad have so many different opinions on what needs to happen with this home to make it right for their child, that they're just not ever going to find anything that's really going to work for them, because mom and dad's decisions are completely different from what yours might be. So and it's okay to have those opinions, but know why it is that you want to buy this house. Know it is why that you're in the market. Know what your why is, and then jumping into the market just because. Right now, interest rates are great. You hear that the market is hot. And it's a great time for affordability. But jumping into the real estate market, just buying a house just because of that, isn't necessarily a great reason to buy a house. There are times when it's actually beneficial to rent for a while, or maybe even a little bit longer. So take those things into consideration, because you need to make sure that you're doing this for you and for the right reasons. And then lastly, the golden rule. Be careful once you're under contract, you've decided on a house, you've gotten yourself pre-approved by a lender, make sure that you don't go buy a bunch of stuff. And we've seen it happen time and time again where somebody is pre-qualified, they get through the contract negotiation, they feel like they've got the house, and now they want to go buy that new car. Wait until you've closed on the house, because if you change your financial situation during the transaction, what happens is right before closing, the bank is going to pull your credit and they're going to run your numbers again, and if you have increased your debt, your car payments, or maybe furniture payments, or your credit card payments, they are going to use that and they're going to end up counting it against you, and your debt to income ratio is going to change. We talked about debt. We can talk about debt to income in another conversation in another video. But you do not want to hurt your debt to income ratio. You do not want to hurt your position with the bank, because you could end up losing the house, or it could end up costing you maybe more in your interest rates. You may end up having to pay points in order to close on the loan. Thousands of dollars could be at stake, and you may end up losing the house. So be really, really careful about that. Those are some things to keep in mind. But lastly, let's not go into 2021 with so much fear. We've had a lot of things to be concerned about in 2020, but I want to just say fear is something that kind of tends to drive decisions, or actually drives us to not make decisions, a lack of decisions. Fear is false expectations appearing real. And I want to just say God placed the best things in life on the other side of fear. So once we get past our fear, I think we're going to find that there's really amazing things that we can do and we can accomplish. I have to do this myself, so it's something that's a message for myself as well. I want to share that with you. To learn more about buying a home, or if you want to talk to me about buying a home, if you're interested in buying a home, message me here. You can certainly give me a call. My number's on the screen at 757-707-4664. And you can just visit my website at johnpolson.com if you want to learn more about me. Find me on social media. This video will be on social media. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope that you are blessed. Make sure that you stay healthy and stay safe.